Hi everyone, and welcome back to PlanFirst Live. This week we're going to be talking about materials for your home. Specifically this week we're going to be talking about walls and floors. So I often get asked the question by people or clients, what floor finishes are suitable for their home? Should they use different floor finishes? Should they use the same floor finish throughout? Walls, etc. So we thought this week we'll talk about walls and floors. Next week we'll just continue and talk more about bench tops and cabinetry, etc., because it's too much to get through in one session. But quite a lot to cover in today's talk. So just as a quick introduction, I'm Sian Larkin. I'm the Manager of Design Services at PlanFirst Design. And let's jump straight into it. Just as a reminder, if you have got any questions you'd like to ask, feel free to pop it into the comments and we'll try and answer them as we go through the talk this morning. Right, so to get started, the flooring materials that we're going to have a look at today specifically is hardwood, laminates, vinyl, carpeting, and tiles. Those are basically the main floorings that we do get. We won't be discussing things like bamboo today, which is also quite popular. But looking at hardwood, where would you use hardwood? I would say keep hardwood away from wet areas. Kitchens is fine, but bathrooms I wouldn't necessarily suggest using hardwood because it is still a timber and it does absorb moisture. So living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, hallways, those types of places. We'll have a look at the pros and cons. Hardwoods have been around since the beginning of time. It is a natural material. So it is timeless, definitely has an elegant feel. Of all the flooring finishes, it adds the most resale value to your home. We'll have a look in the cons, it is a more expensive upfront cost, but durable, long-lasting. If it does get worn, because it's a natural material, you do see scratches and buffs. But you can sand it down. You know, the flooring is quite thick. It's normally about 20-25 mils. So it can take numerous sandings over time. Just having a look at the cons, it is more expensive up front. It is also susceptible to scratches. So if you're going to be moving heavy furniture around and you don't pick it up properly, it will definitely scratch the floor. If it does get wet, it can swell, it can warp, so just be very careful of that. And it does require maintenance. So every couple of years, you would need to sand it and you would need to re-oil it just to keep it looking good. Laminates are a very, very popular choice. You would use it also in bedrooms, living rooms, offices, and more low traffic areas. The reason it is so popular is because it's a very affordable alternative to hardwood. So you get the same look and feel, and it is less, it's more scratch resistant. So it doesn't scratch as easily. It's a much easier installation because it's got the click system. And you also get a wide variety of designs and colors. The cons, on the other hand, is you can't refinish it. So if you do damage your laminate flooring, you'll have to replace that specific section that's damaged. It's not as durable as the hardwoods, and it's also susceptible to moisture. And sometimes, especially if you go for a cheaper version or a cheaper brand, it does feel a little bit cheap underfoot. So it is worthwhile spending a little bit more money on a better quality laminate. Vinyl flooring, that's become very popular. It looks a lot like your laminate. The biggest bonus is it's waterproof. So you can use it in your bathrooms and your kitchens. It can get wet. It's not going to damage your vinyl. Very good for laundry rooms as well, and high traffic areas. So you get different types. This one in this image is specifically a wood look, but you do get stone look as well, which has more got the appearance of tiles. The pros to this is the water resistance. That is a big bonus. It is very comfortable underfoot. Budget-friendly options you do get, and a wide variety of colors and patterns as well, textures. The vinyl does have more of a texture to it than what the laminate does have. Very, very popular choice. The cons are that if you do have very heavy furniture, it can make an indent if that furniture is in place for a long time. So if you were going to rearrange the room or refurnish the room, just bear that in mind. It does, as I was saying earlier, your solid timber floors are your highest for resale value. Putting in laminates, because it's a more affordable option, it does lower the resale value of the home, similar to putting in carpets, which we'll see later. The vinyls can discolor over time, especially if they do get a lot of sun on them. So be mindful of that. Just ensure you have some form of protection so that they don't get direct sun necessarily during the hottest time of the day. And try and go, obviously it's dependent on the budget, try not go for the cheapest option because you can see the difference between a cheaper option and a more expensive vinyl flooring. Tiles been a popular floor covering for a very long time, especially in colder countries where carpets aren't that much of a popular choice due to the heat. Tiles can be used bathrooms, kitchens, the water resistance, fantastic. Entryways, mudrooms, anywhere with water, where water can come into contact with the floor, it is the preferred option. So the pros to that is they are extremely durable, the most durable of all the floor finishes. They are scratch resistant to a large extent, but obviously they can chip if you drop something heavy on them. They stain resistant, again, endless possibilities coming to colors, patterns, sizes. You can lay them in different patterns. Very, very versatile choice for floor coverings. The cons would be they are extremely hard and cold underfoot. So if you're in a cold country, it probably wouldn't be your first choice for floor covering unless you're going to be putting in underfloor heating. They are slippery when wet. So make sure if you're installing tiles inside and outside, you want that continuity going from your inside to your outside. Just make sure that you put the non-slip on the outside. Don't have a slippery tile on the outside. The grouting may discolor as well. So although the tiles are stain resistant, just be mindful of your grouting. Use a grouting that is more resistant to staining. Otherwise, it can definitely stain over time. And it would be even your installation cost for installing tiles, depending on whether you go ceramic or porcelain, which we'll speak about in a minute. Just keep the installation cost in mind. That is going to be unchanged. Whether you go for an expensive tile or a cheaper tile, overall the installation cost doesn't vary by that much. So try and invest a little bit more. It's something that you are going to install once and it can last you 20, 30 years. if you look after it and maintain it well. So I often get asked, what is the difference between a ceramic tile and a porcelain tile? So all tiles are made from clay and they are all fired in a kiln. The difference is one is made from a coarse particle clay, the other one from a finer particle, and the temperatures at which they're fired differ. So that affects the strength and also the water resistance. So we'll first have a look at ceramics. So this is the tile that uses the coarser clay, fired at a lower temperature, often glazed afterwards. As you can see here, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with these tiles. They were quite fashionable in years gone by. But they are the cheaper tile and they are easier to install as well. The cons is that they do absorb more moisture than the porcelain tiles, and they're also not as strong. They can chip more easily, and because they are glazed, often if they are chipped, you can see the chip, whereas with a porcelain tile, often the color goes through, so the chip is not as visible as with a ceramic tile. You would use these more on your walls because they are softer than the porcelain. They're well suited to walls, kitchen splashbacks, light floor traffic areas. So, but I'd say mostly a good choice for walls. I think we'll take the questions. I see there are some of them coming through, but we'll have a look at them after. Porcelain, very good for flooring. So these are made with finer, denser clay particles and fired at a much higher temperature. So they are a lot harder, and often you have the through body color. So chips are less visible if you use the porcelain tiles. They would be the more expensive option as well, just due to the different nature of the tile. Very strong and durable, some of the pros, water resistant, and very, very suitable to outdoors. Again, just make sure that you use the non-slip, very importantly. What is nice is a lot of suppliers will have the same tile in the regular tile, if I can call it the regular tile for inside, which is a lot softer underfoot compared to the non-slip. So you could have the same tile transitioning from the inside to the outside. It would have the same look, but the inside would be a lot smoother underfoot, and the outside would then be the non-slip. A couple of the cons is they are more expensive, and because they are harder to cut, making the installation of these a little bit more expensive than the ceramics. So you would use these quite easily in high traffic areas, bathrooms, kitchens, outdoor areas, and also very suitable to commercial spaces that do have high traffic, high foot traffic. Then moving along to carpets. Carpets are very suitable to bedrooms. You can use them in living rooms, family rooms, stairs. They do absorb noise, so good for soundproofing. Also very suitable to cold climates. So the warmer areas, warmer climates don't always have the carpets in the bedrooms. They could tend to go more for laminates or hardwood, and then just with loose rugs over the floor finish. A couple of the pros is it is soft and warm. It is an affordable option. Very easy installation, easy to change. So you get many, many colors, many textures, many patterns. It does improve insulation and it is good for noise reduction. A couple of the cons, they do stain. So if you were to mess coffee or whatever on them, you would have to clean it with special detergents if you can get that stain out. So it's not always easy. They do wear faster. So you will see often in a room the area that has got the foot traffic over it, you will see the wear and tear in that carpet a lot clearer than in the rest of the carpet. Bear that in mind. And then it does trap dust, so you could get prone to allergies. Make sure you maintain it, vacuum it, give it a good clean every now and again. Definitely worthwhile getting professional cleaners in to clean your carpets. And it does reduce the resale value on a house compared to the hardwood floors, for instance, but definitely necessary in certain areas of the house, especially if you are in the colder climates. You get basically three different types of carpets. The one is the cut pile, which you can see in this image. It's where it does make it more soft and luxurious, ideal for bedrooms. So they actually cut the loops of the yarn, giving it little soft upright surfaces, as you can see here, ideal for bedrooms and living rooms. Secondly, you get the loop pile, which is very good. It's durable and good for high traffic. Also, you don't see the dirt as easily on these carpets. So they're ideal for offices, family rooms, stairs, hallways, areas that maybe don't have as much or more foot traffic than the bedrooms, whereas the bedrooms would be more suitable to these cut piles. And then you get a combination of the two. So here you can get your patterns in your carpets. So the cut and loop pile is quite popular for commercial applications and also for feature areas, even in a residential home. A lot of rugs use cut and loop pile as well. All right, then moving on to walls. Today we're only going to have a look at the really popular choices, which would be paints, wallpapers, wood paneling, and then stone and tile applications. Starting with paint, this is the most affordable option for all the wall coverings. So it's always been popular. You get many hundreds, I want to almost say thousands of paint colors. You do get a few paint textures, but generally compared to other finishes, I would say that it's non-textured. It is low maintenance. It's easy to change. If you do get tired of your paint color, very easy to just repaint that wall. It's easy to clean depending on what type of paint you use. You do get various types. Some of them are more difficult to clean. Always better to go for a more expensive brand of paint because it does last longer. Sometimes one finds that the cheaper brands need many more coats to actually cover the wall, whereas your more expensive brands do cover perfectly well with 2 coats of paint. The cons, it can show imperfections. So if your walls haven't been finished properly, or if you do have scratches or marks in your wall, it definitely will show that up more so than if you were, for instance, to put a wallpaper over that wall. So depending on what your walls look like and the condition that they're in, paint can work well if your walls are nice and properly finished off. You do need to paint over time. The paint can get dirty if you're constantly brushing up against it or, moving furniture around. If your chair slams into the back of the wall behind you, it will make marks. So you would need to repaint, especially in high traffic areas. You often see in public spaces where you have a waiting room, for instance, and the chairs are backed up against the wall. Within no time, you do see the stains and the marks on the wall behind you. So the first type of paint that we're going to look at is your matte finish. So this really has no shine to it, meaning that it is more difficult to clean, but it does hide the wall imperfections more. So it's got a soft modern look. It does diffuse the light very nicely, but it is harder to clean. But you can use it successfully for ceilings because they are pretty much untouched, except for a bit of dust that they do get on them. But very good for formal living rooms as well, rooms that don't get used on a daily basis. The next up would be your eggshell low sheen, very, very popular choice. It's got a slight glow, let's call it a glow to it. I wouldn't call it a shine, but it's easier to clean and more durable than the matte that we looked at previously. And it will slightly hide imperfections, but still not perfectly. Good for living rooms, hallways, and also bedrooms. Then we get the satin, which you will notice that little bit of shine, but easy to wipe clean. So good for kids' bedrooms, for instance, high traffic areas such as kitchens and bathrooms as well. But very good for kids' rooms because it's not an absolute shine that you can see, but you want that easy to clean paint in kids' rooms. Having a look at semi-gloss, now we're moving more towards a painting of cabinetry if you are going for that, because kitchen areas do get spills and you need to be able to wipe down the cabinetry easily. So very washable, great for painting on wood, moisture resistant as well, because you don't want the moisture from the kitchen to get into those timber cabinets and doors. Great for skirtings. If you've got a skirting at the bottom, often one does kick against it and you need to be able to wipe that down and clean it. And finally, you get the high gloss paints, also suitable for cabinetry and used for feature statements such as front doors or architraves, furniture. It's very good for furniture. It's very shiny and reflective. So you would definitely be making a statement with the high gloss paints, but very easy to clean, very easy to wipe. Keep in mind that because it's got such a high gloss, it does show fingerprints and marks on it more easily. So you need to keep it clean at all times. Moving on to wallpaper, one of my personal favorites. I think it adds a lot of statement areas. I certainly wouldn't recommend using it everywhere, but for instance, in this guest bathroom, it really is an experience going into this room. So use it on feature walls. You can use it in bedrooms, low moisture spaces, unless you're using a vinyl wallpaper, which you could use in bathrooms. The vinyl wallpapers are moisture resistant. The pros, you get a huge variety of different patterns, colors. You can mix and match it with basically any interiors that you're trying to create. You can custom your own wallpaper as well. There are companies that do that. Great for company logos, personalizing a kid's bedroom or nursery school or, that type of thing. What's nice about wallpaper is if your walls have got imperfections that paint's not going to hide, wallpaper will hide that, especially the thicker wallpapers and the wallpapers with more of a texture on. So long lifespan if you go for a high quality. The cons, on the other hand, sometimes depending on the wallpaper you use, not always the easiest to remove. And if you do have the wrong wallpaper in a room that does have moisture, it can affect that wallpaper and it can start bubbling and peeling away. So it is more expensive than paint, but it is cheaper than your wood paneling and your other options that we're going to have a look at. I would say do use professional installers. Most of the wallpapers have got patterns that do need to line up to give it the continuity. And it is a slightly more specialized installation than painting, for instance. The next one we'll have a look at is wood paneling. So wood paneling can be used also, again, as feature walls. I wouldn't use it for all four walls of the room, but living rooms, hallways, bedrooms, feature walls, home offices, they're good for sound attenuation as well. Lots of different colors, lots of different styles. They do add warmth and texture. Fabulous for a feature wall, as you see here. Good for lighting as well. They're durable, long-lasting. You wouldn't need to replace it often. If you find that you do get a bit tired of it, but you don't want to replace it, you can paint it. And then it'll just freshen it up, and it can go another couple of years without having to replace it. It does provide some acoustic value because it is wood, and also the acoustic benefit. The cons, it's a higher material and installation cost because definitely this would need to be done by a specialist. The installation, it is a timber product finished off in a factory, so there is a higher cost to it. If you've got a very small room, it can make your room feel small and dark, so just be mindful of that. If you do have it in a room, again, just put it on one wall as opposed to all four walls if you do have a small room. And keeping in mind, just have the right movement joints because it is a natural product. It is going to expand and contract with the weather and the humidity. Different types of wall paneling is you do get the shiplap, which is this one in this image, which contrasts quite nicely if you do have cladding on the outside of your building. And then you also can get reclaimed wood, which is great for recycling. And then we've got the tile and the stone, which you again can use in your bathrooms, kitchens, feature walls around fireplaces, entranceways. Very, very durable, the most durable of all the wall finishes. And with that durability does come the price tag, unfortunately, as well. But very versatile. You can use it in bathrooms because the moisture is not going to affect it. So durable and long-lasting, water, heat, and stain resistant. It does add luxury. You can, if you've got a courtyard set up like this, you can actually match interior, exterior cladding and wall finish. So one could have put the same wall cladding on the feature wall of that courtyard. Very low maintenance. Nice to use just here and there, and nice to also link your inside and outside areas visually. The cons, it is the most expensive option, so just use it sparingly. It is heavy as well. It is a heavy product, so you would need to make sure that whatever substrate you're putting it onto can structurally carry it. So just get an engineer involved to have a look and make sure that your structure can actually carry that. It does need professional installation as well. And once it is installed, it is difficult to remove. You would need to get a contractor in to come and remove that. It's not something that you can just DIY over a weekend. So be mindful of that. But all in all, lots of choices, very specific to the application that you are using, budget dependent as well. So we will have a look in a couple of weeks' time at doing your mood boards before you actually make your selections that you're going to be putting into the home. Hand in hand with your selections must go your budget. So a lot of these things that we talk about go hand in hand with each other. I always say we do the layouts first and then we do the selections afterwards, and I still stand by that. But once the layout is in place, do your selections alongside your budget and just tweak it as you go so that you can see where you need to cut. Decide what is your most important priority. Is it flooring? Is it walling? Do you want a specific feature wall? And then, we just tweak the budget along with the finishes and the selections before you actually start the build. No time for questions today, unfortunately, but just having a look at one last one quickly is the subway tiles, which were quite popular in kitchens and bathrooms. Not as popular at the moment, I would say. It's more being replaced by organic and natural products. Next week, what we will have a look at is part 2 of our materials. Today, we really just had time for the walls and the floors. Next week, we'll have a look at benchtop selections and cabinetry. And after that, we'll start going into the mood boards. How do you set it up? What do you need to do, etc. But it seems we are out of time for today. So thank you for joining us. Once again, there are our details. Feel free to contact us. The questions that we didn't get to today, I hopefully will try and squeeze in next week. I'll try and make the talk a little bit shorter. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all again next week. Thank you.